We're back in the saddle here for an original program, and we got a lot to do. Yeah, hey, Dan York, State of Mind. You've heard of it, right? We're nearing 1 year on the planet here, at least on MyRI TV. But, you know, we've had some programming turbulence because we got Patriots football in the preseason, which has bumped this a little bit, which is fine with me because we all need a break. And who doesn't like the Patriots? Well, I don't. I'm a Giant fan, but you know what I mean. And then we've had some debates that have caused little programming moves. So when the Channel 12 debates, the Democrat-Republican primaries, and anything else that we can do in the general, air on Channel 12, you got to have Wheel and Jeopardy. They move over to MyRI TV, which, you know, bumps me either in the early time slot or in the repeat time slot. But that's okay. I mean, sometimes you got to shake, rattle, and roll, and, you know, buy a round on the golf course, you know, day off. Anyway, it's nice to have you aboard. Guillaume de Ramel is in studio. He is running for Secretary of State. Second time he's done that. Last time was 2006. We'll find out why he took a break and now is taking another stab. He's running against Nelly Gorbea, who's running a class warfare now strategy against him with her new ads. We'll show you that coming up. But we got a lot to cover tonight, so let us go to the rundown. Just unspeakable, but I guess we speak about it a lot now because it seems like a routine that ISIL is involved with here. The next few items are from the Republican gubernatorial television debate on Channel 12 last night. Endorsements for sale. Time to make nice. And then the final thing was just a weird moment with Cianci on the brain. A total figure for the primary spending for the governor's race has been released. And this is just a funny story out of Johnston. Funny, interesting, but funny, haha, too. All right, let's hustle through. Lots to say, lots to do. This is not something you want to hustle through. This is something you need to pray about. Second Syria beheading. I mean, when we start to use the term beheading as if it rolls off our tongue in some kind of nonchalant news fashion, that's not good. Here's the latest from CBS.
U.S. intelligence officials confirmed the Islamic militant video showing the execution of American journalist Steven Sotloff is real.
We saw him brutally taken from us in an act of medieval savagery by a coward hiding behind a mask.
Traveling in Estonia, President Obama said the terrorist responsible for his death will pay.
Their horrific acts only unite us as a country and stiffen our resolve to take the fight against these terrorists. Our objective is clear, and that is to degrade and destroy ISIL so that it's no longer a threat, not just to Iraq, but also to the region and to the United States.
Some lawmakers say the president is moving too slow. They want swift action, including bombing runs against ISIS leaders hiding in Syria.
Well, you know, the president just last week was talking about not yet having a strategy here. A second incident, and again, a life is lost. A courageous journalist at a young age of early 30s has lost his life as his mother pleaded for his return. Just absolutely disgusting. But you know what? It looks like we're going to be going in there come heck or high water, and with or without the Syrian government's cooperation. Joe Biden, the vice president, today said, we will follow this group to the gates of hell. Or they'll be hell to pay if we don't get a strategy quickly. We can't let them dictate our pace, but at this juncture, there's a whole long list of folks that I think they're ready to do stage 3, 4, 5, and 6 with. There is evil in the world. Next item. Let's go to the GOP primary for the next few items if we can. Tim White, Ted Nesi, Ed Fitzpatrick in the crowd did another terrific job at the PPAC along with the crew putting on a debate last night. There was one, you know, when they shot the audience, though, it did look kind of like a Washington Senators game in 1967 in the middle of August with nobody around, you know, but there were more people there in another camera shot, and they're, you know, less than the Democrats and less staffers than the Democrats. Were you giggling over there, Laura, over that one? Kind of somebody was. Anyway, nonetheless, just as important. And here are some things that I just wanted to check. First of all, going into the debate last night, this endorsement game was being played, and the guy who got beat by 3 points in the 2010 election, John Robitaille, stepped up for Ken Block.
Here's the thing. Like I said, I don't want to say anything negative about Alan. It's not why I came here today. But I think Ken is the person we need. Ken is not truly a politician, and we need someone who's going to get in there with his attitude, his skill set. We don't need a career politician. We need someone who's going to bring a fresh perspective to the office of governor. That's how I feel.
So now remember, Fung was saying that Block's moderate candidacy back in 2010 and 6.5 points earned in that election cost Robitaille the election. Robitaille dismisses that, and so it kind of leaves Fung with nothing left to say on that. But Fung countered with an endorsement from none other than Mitt Romney.
This is Mitt Romney, and I'm calling to ask you to support my friend Alan Fung for governor. Alan stood with me while his opponent, Ken Block, supported Barack Obama. And Alan is a proven leader who will turn around Rhode Island. So on September 9th, please cast your vote in support of Mayor Alan Fung for governor. Thanks so very much.
So you've seen that, right? So here's Fung reacting to not getting Robitaille, getting Romney, and then Tim asks a great question, and Block kind of stuns me with this allegation.
We've been, both, Ken and myself, have been asking people for their support. I've certainly been proud to stand today with our former presidential Republican candidate, Mitt Romney, former governor Mitt Romney, and I'll certainly be calling John Robitaille after I win that primary and asking him for his support on September 9th.
Mr. Block, your response.
Yeah, back in January, we interviewed the Shawmut Group. The Shawmut Group is the consulting group that Alan Fung's campaign has hired. And in the 2 months that we interviewed them and opted not to use them, they promised us that if we hire them, they could bring Mitt Romney in and endorse my candidacy.
Are you saying that Mr. Fung bought the endorsement of Mitt Romney? Is that what you're saying?
What I'm saying is the Shawmut Group, when we interviewed them, offered to bring Mitt in on my behalf. We opted not to use Shawmut Group, and Alan Fung did, and now Mitt has endorsed Alan Fung.
Mr. Fung.
I can certainly tell you, they certainly did not promise me to bring in Mitt Romney.
A heck of an allegation by Ken Block. It ought to be a national story. I'd like to see Mitt Romney and the Shawmut Group react to that. What a game the endorsement in politics thing is, huh? And the last item-ish on this Republican primary debate last night, under the thought of trying to make nice, Ed Fitzpatrick asks this question about, how the campaign has been going.
Ronald Reagan's so-called 11th commandment, thou shalt not speak ill of any fellow Republican. I think it's fair to say that both of you have violated that commandment in this campaign, and maybe tonight. So I want to give each of you an opportunity tonight to repent, or to at least defend the tone of the campaign thus far.
I hate this campaign. This campaign has been full of venom, vile, and half-truths.
And part of it is, it's part of the primary process. You're seeing this campaign, it's a spirited one. I will grant you that. It is a spirited campaign.
One could say that Block is whining. One could also say that Fung is avoiding having been the first troublemaker in this race. But you'll score that one at home. It certainly has been a brouhaha, only days remaining now. But there's one thing they're brouhahaing all the time about, and that is who's the better Republican. Actually, it's Fung that's made that a whole big deal, and he ran into a little bit of buzzsaw last night with Tim's question at the end of the debate.
Have either of you voted in a Democratic primary? Mr. Block?
Never.
You have never voted in a Democratic primary. Mr. Fung, have you voted in a Democratic primary?
I don't believe I have.
You can't remember?
I can't remember. I know I voted in Republican primaries consistently.
Okay.
Well, guess what? Alan couldn't remember, but Go Local Prov figured it out today, looked it up and found out that he actually voted in both 1998 and in 2000 in the Democratic primary. All right, so that's kind of strange. The weirdest part of the debate, by the way, is the idea that Buddy Cianci's on the brain. What a weird answer from, Block did the old, bad optics thing, and Fung seconded the motion and then threw this one in.
Do you agree or disagree with Tom from East Greenwich that the election of Buddy Cianci would be an impediment to Rhode Island improving its image as a good place to do business?
We do have to reform our image, and I also agree with Ken that the optics of the situation would not send a good message. But I do like Buddy as a radio personality. I'm glad that he's taken a leave of absence so that if it doesn't work out, he'll be back on the air again.
Yeah, I don't know whether to laugh or cry about that one, as one who pays his mortgage as a radio personality. I'll have to dwell on that. You can. Give me a thought on your state of mind about all of that. By the way, the funding in this primary is gotten through the roof now, has certainly arrived to the roof and blown through it. Take a look at this headline at WPRI.com and then look at the breakdown of the spending here. Holy moly! As Jessica Silva, my producer, said, you know how many times I could have paid my student loan over and over and over again with all that money? I think average people look at, and we're all average people here, look at this kind of money and say, wow, that's a lot of dough to spend for a job that pays $120,000 a year. And finally, in Johnston, don't pick the garbage. What is going on with this one? Check this headline out. The mayor is cracking down on recycling robbers. So, you know the pickers that come to your garbage and look for stuff? Mayor Policina, shown here, who I think has done a pretty good job as mayor. I think he lost his mind in this one. He says, we lose $10,000 a year, in garbage return on investment with all of the picking going on. And he advises the residents, if you see a picker, do not take the law into your own hands. Do nothing and call the police. I don't think I'm going to be calling the police over pickers. I just can't see me dialing 911. I got a picker. Guillaume de Ramel, running for Secretary of State, next. I certainly remember having this guy around a handful of years ago. He was a pleasure then. I'm sure he's a pleasure now. He's running for Secretary of State, but his opponent thinks he's nothing but a spoiled rich kid.
Which of these candidates will look out for you? Guillaume de Ramel comes from a wealthy Newport family. He's never run a successful business on his own like he claims. He just uses his family fortune to give away hundreds of thousands to private schools and the game of squash. De Ramel just can't relate to the tough choices working families face. Nellie Gorbea,
and so that is what Nellie says about you. Welcome, by the way. It is good to see you.
Well, great to see you, and thanks for having me.
You haven't held down a real job ever, or what's going on? You ran an airline business, right, or a small business for pilots. Did that work out?
You know, I hope the viewers actually realize what's the old saying: believe none of what you hear and half of what you see, and certainly that applies in this situation because it's sad to see my opponent, continue the negative attacks and the frankly just blatant lies about my experience and my track record.
What's the biggest lie she's telling you?
Well, the first
she didn't tell many lies when she came here and visited here a couple of weeks ago. We were more focused on the issues, and I think we should be too. But what's bothering you?
Well, about the never running a successful business is absolutely false. Actually, I'm proud to say that I'm the only candidate in this race who has that 2 decades of experience in the private sector, started a business here in Rhode Island, helped a small construction company grow, and actually those businesses are absolutely successful. The airline that you mentioned is still to this day operating. My twin brother is at the helm now, but 11 years later, it's still kicking. And the hangar development that I built is, you can talk to the people that participated in that, are ecstatic that happened. So sad to hear, that.
All right, so you're a guy of means. Family's got money, right? And have you funded this campaign for the most part yourself?
I have made a substantial investment in this campaign, but I've also asked for Rhode Islanders to help with this campaign. We've raised just about the same as my opponent. I think we're leading for quite a bit, and then we focus, kind of transition over to more campaign related activities. But we've been raising money. Trust me, I've been on the phone like everybody else, dialing for dollars.
You ran in 2006, fell a few points short. You got 47% against Ralph Mollis, the now Secretary of State, and then you disappeared off the political radar. What have you been doing?
Well, I've got 2 kids now, 2 great, beautiful kids. I started another business, a small, successful project in Newport, which has brought a number of people to Aquidneck Island who are paying taxes, who are contributing to the economy. Helped a small construction company grow. We started a neurosciences institute, the first of its kind in Rhode Island.
So you were too busy what'd you learn from the 2006 run?
Quite a bit, actually. I mean, that was, like you said, it was a close effort. We got 47% of the vote. First-time candidate, sad that we didn't win, but looking at it now and some of the challenges that we face, I hopefully will do a lot better this time in North Providence, Johnston, with the support that I have from both mayors, from the committees.
Nellie wanted to debate you. You guys said you didn't want to debate her here. Why?
We've actually, Nellie and I have debated a number of times. We've debated.
People told us that you were not interested in a debate on this show. That she was, but you guys weren't.
We've been very open about debating and on the issues I'm trying to stick to the issues.
Well, I
in
have
this
to forward you
campaign.
the email from your people that said absolutely not. But anyway, I was just curious. So you didn't? Is that one of those disconnects with your campaigns? I guess.
It must be, because I know my campaign has been focused on really moving the issues forward. Where clearly you just saw for this commercial over here, quite the opposite on the other side.
All right, you got some issues. You got an Open for Business campaign platform. We'll run that when we come back and talk about that dreaded voter ID thing, which I don't have. Nellie, Guillaume, and I disagree. I don't like either one of their positions on it, so we'll have some fun with that. Stay with us. Welcome back. Guillaume de Ramel, candidate for Secretary of State, narrowly lost in 2006, took a little break for real life, and is now is back at it. Nelly Gorbea, his opponent in the September 9th primary, the winner to face John Carlovali. We have their pictures, right, Laura? I forgot to ask for them, but these are the other two that are in that race. So we'll put a full screen up on the platform. I always like the candidates to be able to kind of spew a little bit on their own thing, make Rhode Island open for business. So you see the Secretary of State's office as a one-stop shop type of place, or what?
The one and only stop. I think there's tremendous opportunity to really help Rhode Islanders, people outside the state, to really help them navigate through our state government. Although we're the smallest state in the country, I think there's a missed opportunity to really help us make, be nimble, be small. There's 74 regulatory bodies. I served on one, which does a tremendous job, the Coastal Resources Management Council. But I'll tell you, I've seen it firsthand. It's expensive. Not everybody can afford an army of lawyers and a team of lobbyists to be able to navigate, to be successful in navigating our state government. And that's where the Secretary of State's
just to keep
office.
a business open. I got an LLC, DICOM LLC, in your communications, and I have to write a $50 check this month to re-register, I got a $500 minimum corporate check. Are you gonna speak about those things as Secretary of State?
Absolutely. We've actually rolled out our business platform issue, where we've talked about rolling back the $500 minimum tax. I think we all know that the first 3 years of any business are the toughest years, and if we have to show Rhode Islanders that we're partnering up with you. We really want you to succeed.
All right, on most big issues, I'm guessing, although the intricacies of the office aside, I don't think you and your opponent disagree on a lot. However, there's one thing. You want to do some early voting, in-person early voting. Talk about that for a second.
I've been very clear from the get-go that it's an absolute positive aspect to helping modernize our election, where we've seen it in a number of states actually work so well that, unfortunately, Republican governors have started scaling back early in-person voting. My opponent seems to think, that she's for it, she's against it, she's for it, but I'm dead certain this is something we have to do.
What do you want to do? Time frame of pre-election day?
That's up for debate. But certainly, at the very minimum, a week in advance to look at opening up. We've got 39 cities and towns that should be open before. Not everybody can vote on Tuesday, the 9th. Many people have 12-hour shifts. The polls are open for 13 hours.
Fashion absentee ballot. The mail-in ballot, which is now a no excuse ballot. We've got that change already.
If you miss the deadline for the mail ballot,
So this is interesting, and I love this debate. Maybe we can talk about it long form here. If should you win the general, you'll be back, and of course you can come on the radio if you're not boycotting. But that's another story. But this spoonful of sugar to the voter. It's like open wide. Here comes the choo-choo. So we're just going to handhold voters who don't take responsibility for their American privilege of casting a vote or their right to cast a vote. It's just, I feel like it's a learning disabled exercise all the time.
Yeah, I'll tell you, what I've seen is people want to participate in the process, but unfortunately, their minds are so focused right now on making sure there's food on the table.
Oh, come on.
12 hours a day.
Election day is a historical day in the history of this country.
I've had people who have plenty of means, but are either traveling, and yes, they could apply for an early for an absentee ballot, but at the end of the day, my job as Rhode Island's next Secretary of State is to make sure that we increase civic participation. Look at my race.
For all those who don't even pay attention, who go to the voting booth completely clueless too. At least Carlovali, the Republican, is talking about a civics reorientation. That'll be a good discussion between you and him.
Absolutely.
Should you win.
And educating voters on how to advocate for their issues in the General Assembly is an absolute must.
And you want to unwind voter ID?
Look, I was against it 8 years ago, if you recall, when I ran for Secretary of State, and I'm against voter ID. Just the other day, I was in a senior high-rise, and I'll tell you, if you saw her face when I think she was 97, she had no need for a photo ID. And when
you don't need a photo, not now anyway.
She did not have one photo ID, and she didn't apply.
No paperwork.
Her only solution right now, she does not have a photo ID. She doesn't have a need for one. So she was in shock when she learned that that's what she's going to have to use. And by the way, you don't, I mean, if you're trying to protect the sanctity of our elections, I mean, they're mail ballots. You don't need a photo ID. And if you want to get one, you can use your gym card. How is that going to protect our election system? Look, it's been used throughout the country, throughout a lot of red states to disenfranchise the elderly, minorities.
Yeah, but you got
women.
inner city blue representatives, Democrats, who are saying, I want it in my neighborhood because I want to be able to account for who's coming to the voter booth.
It's a problem in search of, I'm sorry, a solution in search of a problem, and it's been used throughout the country. I think we'll see. I know we'll see some errors this time around with the full-fledged law in effect. And I believe that we need to improve civic participation, not increase barriers to folks voting.
September 9th, Secretary of State Guillaume de Ramel and Nellie Gorbea. Good to see you, man.
Yeah, great to see you.
Come
Thanks
back
for
a lot.
having me. Absolutely.
Again. All right, your state of mind. Thanks. All righty, your state of mind. We always like to hear what you have to think. Of course, you can call us and leave us a voicemail at 228-1886. Email us at stateofmind@myiritv.com or tweet or Facebook post. What do we got today, Laura, on the Your State of Mind feedback? Ralph emails me and says that he's lost a huge amount of respect for Mr. Block, has zero respect for hardworking blue-collar people of this state. But what do you expect from a CEO elite? Out of touch, man. This guy is actually very upset over the seasonal work strategy that Ken Block is talking about, saying, hey, listen, you know what? There are too many companies out there that are abusing the system by chronically and systematically laying people off and collecting benefits, and that they're not paying into the system what is being returned to the employees. And he makes a point. You know what? It's a great argument, but if you don't think that we need a solution for that kind of abuse of the system, then you're not paying attention, or you run a seasonal business. Ralph? Okay, we'll see you at noon tomorrow on WPRO and back here tomorrow night on My State of Mind at 7:30. Thanks for watching.